Many people mistake high living, high income for being wealthy. You can have a high income, high standard of living and still be broke. Of course, you're living a high life. That means you get to spend all the plenty money you make. So that doesn't make you wealthy. Sorry, living high doesn't mean you're wealthy. Ending high doesn't mean you're wealthy. Hello everybody, you're welcome back to the Wealthy Christian Family channel. Of course, yes, because I know most of you watching, you're wealthy, you're on your journey to building wealth. Today, I want us to talk about a misconception that is very, very common. And I just want to come here and address it because I think most of us are living with this misconception, And what is a misconception? That you earn high means you're wealthy? No, just the fact that you earn high doesn't mean you're wealthy. The only thing that makes you wealthy is the gap between what you're earning and what you're keeping, because it's what you're keeping that you use to build wealth. So if you're earning, let's say a family is earning $500,000 a year and you're spending $500,000 a year, well, guess what? A family that is making $100,000 a year and spending $50,000 or $60,000 a year and saving $40,000, it's wealthier than the family that is making $500,000 and spending $500,000, because it is that gap between your income and expense with which you build wealth. So just because you have a big mansion, you have an expensive car, you have expensive things, if you have a beautiful mansion, you have a beautiful car, that means you're living high. Let's not mistake it. That doesn't mean you're wealthy. That, in fact, in most cases, means you're broke, because typically you need a lot of money to live that high life. And if you're using a lot of money to live a high life, that also almost certainly means that you don't have much left to save and to invest in your future or to build wealth, financial wealth. So just because somebody lives high doesn't mean they're wealthy. And just because somebody lives low doesn't mean they're wealthy. On the contrary, statistics shows that 80% of millionaires in America live in a $300,000 house. They own two average cars that they've used for over 10 years, but their net worth is between 1.6 million to 3.9 millions. Whereas there are a lot of people who live in a $1 million home and their net worth is 300,000. That's even on a good side. There's some 400 and some their net worth is like maybe 100,000, excluding equity on their property or their living property. So what is net wealth? Because let's start by defining your net. What are you worth? Your net worth is all of your expense, all of your liabilities put together, all of your assets put together, your liabilities minus your assets. It's what gives you your net worth. So if you have loans, student loans, house loans, you bought a house at $300,000, the loan on the house is $300,000, or the loan on the house is $200,000. If you subtract the worth of the house, which is the asset, which is $300,000, if you subtract the $200,000 loan from that asset, the net worth on that property is $100,000. Do that with everything else that you have. Your car, you bought it, your car is worth, it's not what you bought it for, because something like a car depreciates really quickly, especially certain kinds of cars. So if you bought a car for $15,000 and your loan is $10,000 and the car is worth $5,000, actually you're on a negative equity because you have a higher loan than the value of the car itself. So I'm telling you how to calculate your net worth. So sit down and calculate what is your net worth. Put all your assets together, and then put all your liabilities together. Then subtract the liabilities from your asset. That will tell you your net worth. So it's possible that your house, the market value is 1 million, the loan on the house is 800,000. So your net worth is what? 1 million minus 800,000 is 200,000. So just because you live in $1 million home doesn't mean you're a millionaire. It simply means that you're living high. So let's separate the two. But the reason I'm giving you this education is to tell you that the lower you live, the higher your probability and the faster you'll be able to build wealth. So don't mistake living high or living low for not being wealthy. There are a lot of people who are low key. They live in a regular neighborhood, but they'll calculate, they have investment properties, they have stocks, they have bonds, they have all these investments. Some have even gold, some have, when you put all of that together, they're looking at about 2.5, 2.6, yet they live in a $300,000 home. In fact, statistics say that the smartest investors in America only live in a house that is worth below 15% of their net worth. Process that. So 15% to 20% of their net worth is the house in which they live, which means that the other 80% is in other investment properties and other kinds of investments. So I want you to focus on building wealth. Don't be focused on living high, because living high doesn't mean that you are wealthy. Living high is the thing that stops you actually from building wealth faster. So the lower you live, the higher and faster you'll be able to build wealth. Thank you again for coming to this episode. I hope that this is helpful, and I hope that you sit down and think about the financial decisions that you're making and to ask yourself, is this decision to build wealth or is this decision to live high? They are not the same thing. Thank you and have a great one.